Good morning, everyone.
Morning, good morning, good morning.
Welcome to today's presentation. This is Remotics Solution, and your presenter today is Jackie Opata. I'm the Operations and Training Associate at Remotics Solutions. So let's give those who are still joining like 2 minutes, and then we can start.
Very well, very well.
So as we wait for others to join, I would like to encourage us all to use our chat box. And as I'll be presenting, if you have any query, kindly just type it in our chat box, and we have our colleague Marianne would be able to respond as we continue with the presentation. And for us who have joined, maybe we can just a minute, let's use the chat box and introduce ourselves. Jackie from Remotics. So 1 minute for all of us to just say hi through the chat box and introduce ourselves. You can see Maureen. Maybe you can see our organizations as well. Feel free. Crispin, Charles. We have Neral, Lato, Peter. Thank you, thank you. We have Christine, Speranza, Victor. That's nice. I'm happy. We now know each other, those who are with us together in this presentation. So I'll go and dive in straight. I believe the rest will join us when we are on our way. So this is Remotics. And who is Remotics Solutions? Remotics, we are an organization that is a QuickBooks reseller, and we help the nonprofit organizations to transfer if you're using spreadsheets and you want to migrate to online system tracking for your financial information. So this is what Remotics does. And we majorly migrate people from their spreadsheets into QuickBooks Online and Zoho Books. But today we are going to see majorly on QuickBooks Online and its importance. And what are we going to gain from this presentation? So we all know that there is the PBO Act, and the PBO Act has a tight deadline. And we know that all the nonprofit organizations need to comply to the PBO Act for those who are in Kenya. And our deadline for the PBO Act compliance is on May 13th of this year, 2026. So we have literally 67 days to the deadline. And I believe and know that some of us have not complied to the requirements of the PBO Act. So it's barely few days to the deadline. And this is now where Remotics is coming up. We want to help you, all the nonprofits in Kenya, to migrate to the PBO Act requirements. So let's all hurry up and meet the 67 deadline requirements. So what are we going to gain in this presentation today? We are going to go through how we are going to do the setup if you migrate to QBO Online. We are going to see how to set up our organization based on what we do in our specific organization and what we measure on, the activities we measure on. And we are also going to see how to account for the grants, that is the funds, restricted and unrestricted funds, and see how we are going to report to our donors. We know that all the donors normally require our reporting to be done to them specifically to their required structure. So we are going to see how QuickBook Online is going to help us to report to our donors. Another benefit you're going to gain here is on the tax, how we are going to see how KBO is going to help us to comply with the KRA requirements and how it's going to help us comply with the PBO Act requirement as well. Another benefit you're going to get from this presentation is how to migrate from your spreadsheet system to now QBO and see the benefits of coming from manual financial reporting to online financial reporting. So we are going to discuss on the chart of accounts and see how to set our chart of accounts. We're also going to see how to track the fundings to restricted and unrestricted if we have different projects and we want to track our expenses as per the projects we are having. We are going to see this before the end of the presentation. We are going to see the benefits of QuickBooks on how it helps us to manage our multi-currency. I believe most of us receive funds from different donors in different currencies. So we are going to see how QuickBook Online will help us to manage these different currency in one system and help us to report in these different currencies. So tracking funds is also another advantage you're going to get from us this morning. And we are going to see how to manage the restricted and unrestricted funds. We are going also to see on the budgets, how to key in budgets in QuickBook Online and how to track our spending and see where we are at every interval during our project periods. So another advantage you're going to see on the QuickBook Online to our nonprofit organization is how to generate reports that are clear and accurate using QuickBook Online. Then we are also going to see how the requirement of PBO. PBO requires us to have an audit log in all our financial reporting and all our expenses and our financial. There is need to have the accountability. And so we are going to see how this QuickBook Online is going to help us to meet the accountability requirement for the PBO Act. So we are going to see how QuickBook Online is helping us to meet the PBO requirements, all the features that are in QuickBook Online that is going to help us to meet the deadline for the PBO Act. I've also talked on the benefit of the KRA, how we are going to meet the KRA requirements through QuickBook Online. So that is another benefit you're going to gain from this presentation. And also the migration. So we are going to see how we help you migrate from the manual spreadsheet to QuickBook Online, where you now work seamlessly and track your spending seamlessly. So welcome once again. Feel free, use the chat box as we start our presentation. So we are going to start with the chart of accounts. What are these chart of accounts? So chart of accounts, this is a recorded transactions that we have for our organizations. And it helps us to track each and every income and expense to its respective code. And this now, as we continue generating reports, it would help us to track each and every spending as per the required code. So this chart of accounts in QuickBooks, the benefits now, or what it would help us to do, is to track all our spending, both the income and the expenses. So when we want to do a chart of accounts and see how it helps us, we have this icon setting at the top right of your QuickBook Online dashboard. So this is where now we'll always go. Under your company, chart of accounts, you'd always create your chart of accounts from there. And now you'll see that QuickBooks, it has its automatic or generated chart of accounts in the that it comes up with, but then you'll have to now tailor your chart of account based on your activities as an organization. So this is how chart of accounts looks like in QuickBook Online. And we have the codes. That is the one where you'll track your respective expense lines and income lines. So you'll have the coding and you have the name of the items that you have. That is, if it's you have your bank, you have your expenses, you have your payables. So this is where you'll be tracking each and every account that you are having and the expenses that you're having in QuickBook Online. So that is now the benefit of chart of accounts to your organization. It helps us to track all our spendings and all our income to their respective allocations and coding. So let's go now to the setup. If you want to do our setup, once you migrate to QuickBook Online, we have the accounting settings here, where we are going to now do all our setup as per the organization requirement when you start using your QuickBooks. So we have the company settings and the usage now, that is where you have your billing, accounting. So here your company will give all the relevant information about your company, your organization, and the key and the most important part is on the business type. As you'll be keying in your information, ensure you input here on your business type as a nonprofit organization so that QuickBooks may tailor all the features as per the nonprofit organization. Then we have your usage. This is now where your billing system, you'll see the information about your billing. We have accounting. So under the accounting, is now where if you want to have different users and those who can manage and see your information on QuickBooks, especially your staff. So this is now where you'll give them access. And then for the sales and the expenses, if mostly for the nonprofit organization, we don't really deal with sales. We deal mainly with expenses. So you'll do your setup for the expenses there. And your time as well, that is for your period, financial period, you'll indicate there. And then on the advanced settings, now this is also where we need to majorly do a quick and serious setup. So here we'll have all the accounting and company discussed up there. We have chart of accounts. We've discussed on the chart of accounts. And then we have categories for the tracking classes and location. We are going to see this, how to do it. And then we have projects. If you have different projects, this is where now you'll indicate, you'll give the projects for your different locations. And then we have the currency. We will talk about the multi-currency. And then now any other preference that you may have or you may need as per your dating and the currency, your home currency for the reporting as well, and give any other access to your preference. So let's now go to tracking on the tracking of classes. What are these classes? And for the locations, what are locations? So as nonprofit organizations, we do have different donors, and this is now where the classes work. So classes help us to allocate and track different income and expenses to their respective donors. If we want to now give the access to tracking locations, so here in your advanced setup, this is now where we'll have our tracking of classes and locations. So you'll enable these parts. If it's off, as you'll be doing your setup, you'll have to enable the classes and enable the locations. So how do we track our expenses and incomes to different classes? So this is a very key area to our reporting as nonprofits. And for the PBO Act as well, it requires us to have seamless financial reports. And now for tracking of classes, it has a key advantage to the nonprofits who have different donors and need to report to each donor as per their agreement. So if you want to list our classes into different donors, we'll come here to the listings and create our classes under the classes icon. So if we have, for my case here, for Hope Foundation Kenya, I've already created my classes. Those are the respective donors that I have in my organization. And so if we'll be creating the classes, we have the new, if you want to add a new donor, you'll use the new button and add. So this is my listing for different donors that I have. So anytime I'll be recording or any transaction related to administration, I'll key in under administrative. Anytime I'll be entering a transaction related to the EU donor, that is any income, any expense that is paid using the EU grants, I'll report it under the EU class. Anytime I'll be keying in any USAID expense income, I'll key in under the USAID class. So that is now how we do class tracking and recording all our expenses to their respective donors on QuickBooks Online. Let's go to location. For my case in Hope Foundation Kenya, we do have different activities that we are doing for our projects into different locations. So as we continue performing our projects and our programs in the different locations, we need now to track them, all the expenses and all the transactions that are done into the different locations for us to be able to know what this program in this location has spent and all the receipts that we sent to the respective locations. So we'll come here, once we had enabled our tracking of location during our setup, we come here and add all the locations that we have we are doing our programs in. So for my case, we have CBO Kibra, we have Mathare, we have Garissa, Kisumu, Mombasa, and the Nairobi HQ. And we have also Turkana. So if you want to add any other location based on your projects in your organization, so this is where now you will come and click the new button and add any other locations that you have your programs in. So now that is another advantage of QuickBook Online to our respective nonprofit organizations. Feel free up to that moment, if you have any question, kindly just chat us through the chat box. We will respond there as we continue. So now let's go to the multi-currency. I said that earlier, QBO will give us an advantage to the nonprofits. For us who are having different currencies and those who do reports and receive grants from different currencies. So when we'll be doing our setup, on the advanced icon during the setting, this is now where we'll work with our multi-currency. So you'll have to key in your home currency and then enable the multi-currency icon. So once you enable the multi-currency icon, you will be able to add different, let's just manage and see. You'll be able to add a new currency for all those currencies that you deal with. If it's a dollar, it's pound, it's in euro, you'll add any other currency there. So we have the different categories of currencies that you can add in QBO. So that's how we can add the currencies. Now, what are advantages of this multi-currency while recording the transactions? During our tracking of expenses, when we want to either bill or do an expense, you can see here, if you're recording any expense, you will always choose your bank account that you're using. And you can see here, if you're using any dollar account, it will indicate here, and QuickBooks Online will give you the prevailing rate at the current date you are booking your transaction. So at the end of the reporting period, for all those expenses you would have paid using the dollar, QuickBooks will generate the ledger and give you an indication of all the transaction rates and that were used and the total in your home currency. So here we can see if we assume our currency was $500, it will give you your balance here at the end in Kenya shillings. So now that is how multi-currency in QuickBook Online give us an advantage to the nonprofit organization. So what next? Let's see how we track our restricted funds and the unrestricted funds to our donors. So let's see the other advantage of QuickBook Online that we will get if we do the transitioning from our spreadsheets to QuickBook Online. So if we have different donors, I had already talked about the class tracking. So we have two ways in which we can manage our funds, that is for the restricted and the unrestricted. The first way is to use the tracking of classes. And as I had explained, when we have classes, you can track your classes or add your classes based on the donors that you have. If you have restricted donors, you key in here, you can always name them. If it's EU is restricted, just add as EU restricted. If it's USAID restricted, you can add as USAID restricted, but we always know as an organization. So for any unrestricted funds or expenses that we incur, we can always add a new class as an unrestricted or rather general funds. If it's a sub-grant, we know that sub-grants may be unrestricted. So you include your sub-grant class. So as you will be keying in any transaction, if it's an expense, so if it's an expense that is paid by EU, we know that that is restricted. And so we will allocate it to the EU class. If it's an income that is received and it's restricted income from any of the donors that you have in your classes, you will record it to the respective donor as restricted. And any other unrestricted expenses will always allocate to the unrestricted funds. So how do we do this? When we go back to the expenses, if you'll be allocating any expense that you do, so this is where we have the category, you will click the class that is using your chart of accounts, the respective expense line. And now this is where we will record our classes. If it's restricted from EU, this is now where we'll get our classes and allocate it. If it was unrestricted, allocate it to the general unrestricted. If it was for EU related, record it under the EU. So this is how we do restricting of funds and how to manage the unrestricted funds. The other alternative was through the chart of accounts. So as you'll be creating your chart of accounts, ensure that the coding you are doing is coded accurately. And as you'll be creating a new account, you can always create for the restricted accounts and the unrestricted accounts. So as you'll be doing your expenses and your incomes recording, ensure that the class and the category is accurate as per to the chart of accounts. So when we'll be generating reports, you'll be able to see those transactions, all the transactions that have gone to the restricted and all the transactions that have gone to the unrestricted and to their respective donors. So we'll see that as we continue. So that is another advantage of QuickBooks Online to the nonprofit organizations. Let's go now to budgeting. We all deal with budgets as an organization. And here, for us to be tracking our activities as we do our programs and continue with our programs during the year, it is important for us to have our budgets in our system for the QBO. So QuickBooks Online gives us an advantage as it will be giving us accurate data as we continue with our programs. We'll be able to see how we've already spent on each and specific project. So on our QuickBooks tabs, we have the reporting when we want to do our reporting. So we have different reports, custom reports, standard reports, and management reports. When we want to work with our budgets, we'd always go to the standard reporting. So for the standard reporting, we have the cash flow overview. You can be able to see what we have, the incomes, what we've spent, what is remaining in our banks, etc. So for the budgets, let's see our budget here we've already uploaded. You can always create it manually based on the style that you want as an organization or based on your activities. And also you can always upload it. QuickBooks will give you a template if you want to upload. So you'll download the template and then now tailor your budget as per the QuickBooks template. So here we've already uploaded our budgets. So let us see how QuickBooks gives us a reporting and how it tracks our spending in the system. So you'll key in all the period that you want, if it is 2026, and QuickBook Online is going to give you a summary of what you've spent so far as per the budget you have. So this is the summary now of our budget. We have the actual, what we've received, that is, for our income. We can see we have our restricted incomes and the general donations, in-kind donations, and what we budgeted for. It's giving us here. For January, we budgeted to have this amount. February, we budgeted to have this amount. But now this is what we received in the respective months. And now it's giving you the percentage of the budget, what you've received and what you are yet to receive. You'll know the difference. For the expenses also, we have our budget for January, and we can see what we've spent in January. It's giving you even the percentage of what you've spent so far. Have you spent over your budget? It will indicate to you here. Now we can see the percentage of budget you've spent here for the staff salary compared to what we had budgeted for. So now, if you want to manage your spending, QBO will really give you an advantage to managing your spending through the budgeting allocations of what you have for your projects. So that's another benefit of QuickBook Online to our nonprofit. And also it will give us a right track to meet the PBO requirement, because PBO requires us to have all the financial reporting that are accurate. And budgeting will give us a trail of the one of the reports that we have that PBO requires. So that is a brief overview of how we can manage our budgets and what QBO gives us and the importance of having the QuickBook Online to our organizations. So we can still go back to the reports. We can see the different types of reports that QuickBook Online is able to give us. We have our balance sheets, we have the budgets, and it can track our BVA, that is the budget and the variance analysis. QuickBooks can give us the profits and locations by class, by location, by month, and we can see it can even give us the cash flows. It can show us and gives us all our debtors, that is the receivables that we have. It will give you an history of all the receivables that you have. And also for the payables, it will give you a payable aging summary, and you'll be able to track all your payables in your organization. So also it will give us an analysis of the project's profitability. How is this project benefiting, depending with the plans that we have? So QuickBooks will give you an advantage, as it will give you the summary of the project's returns, or what has been spent on each and different project. If you're having inventory, it will help you track your inventory there. So for their sales and their customers, basically for the nonprofits, for the sales, the donors are our customers who give us their funds. So that is another advantage of QuickBooks. It will help you to manage all your funds, all your expenses, and see what you owe. For the taxes, you'll be able to see all your liabilities as an organization. If you have employees, timesheets, it will give you a narration on and allocate time to your various respective employees, maybe who work on apportioned time for their projects. So QuickBook Online will be able to track your employees' timesheet and help you to allocate the right costs to their salaries and to their wages. So that's another advantage of QBO if we do transition to the QuickBook Online as an organization. I can see my chat box is dormant. Please let us ask our questions there as we continue. We have a colleague who will be doing and answering your questions as we continue. Let's make the chat box active as we continue presenting. So another advantage of QuickBooks to us nonprofits, we have the different allocations of funds. Let's say we may be having different donors who are funding a specific project, but they have different funding percentage. Let's say we have a rent allocation for our organization, and EU is funding us a certain percentage, let's say 20%, and USAID is funding us for the rent, is paying 10% of our rent, and then now for the administrative purposes, the admin will pay, let's say, the 70%. So QuickBooks Online will enable us to allocate different costs to the respective expenses. So let's see how this is beneficial to us and how QuickBooks help us to do it. So we'll be creating expenses, or rather, even if it's a bill. So let's see how QuickBooks will help us to track and allocate different costs to a specific expense line with different donors. So if it's rent, we'll always have the rent category there. So this is rent. So if it's EU is allocating 10%, let's say it's 100, our rent is 100,000, and EU pays 10, let's say 10,000. So this is USD, so we can change to Kenya shillings. So our amount will be in Kenya shillings. So let's say EU pays 50,000 of our rent. So you allocate to the EU, you allocate the cost, the 50,000 to EU. If it's USAID is paying, let's say 20,000. So you allocate this cost to EU. And if it's administration is paying the rest, that is 30,000. So you will allocate to the different class of the administrative costs. So this is how QuickBooks help us also to manage different costs and allocate it to different funding grants and whatever we receive as per our requirements or the organization we have and the projects that we deal with. So that is another benefit of QuickBooks Online to the nonprofits. It would help us to allocate different costs to their respective donors for us to be able to track as per the donor spending, as per each donor. So what are we going to next? We'll cancel our transaction there. So we've already talked on how we are able to now track all our grants. And let's see how the reporting comes in and how QuickBooks Online enables us to generate reports as per the donors' requirements, so to their respective donors. So we'll still go to our reporting there and standard reporting. So if you want to generate, let's say, the P&L, that is the profit and loss by class. So we'll look into our profit and loss. Ensure the date is accurate. So this is our profit and loss. And now we want to generate this profit and loss based on each donor, that is per class. So our accounting is on the accrual basis. You'll display now the column. So this is now where you tailor your report the way you want. If you want as per the location, that is per class, now this is per donor. So you can see it's giving us the EU reporting. That is what we've received and what we've spent under EU. If we have the sub-grants, and it's giving us what we've spent and what we have received for the sub-grants. If it's USAID, you can see the reports, what we've received so far, and what we've spent under the USAID. If it's the unrestricted funds, we are now able to generate what we've received under the restricted and what we've spent under the unrestricted. So this is another advantage. If you want to see your P&L by location, the various locations that we have for our different projects, we can see. It's giving you a summary. So if it's for CBO, Kibra, we can see what we've received for CBO, for the Kibra office, and we can see what we've spent under each office. We have the Mathare, we can see. We can see the Kisumu CFO now in the Nairobi HQ. It's giving us what we've received so far under Nairobi HQ, what we've spent for the Nairobi HQ expenses. So this is now for reporting. Let's say if a donor needs their respective reporting. So this is where you will generate each and every donor's report based on your agreement in your donor agreement that you have. So if you want to see your general ledger, the ledger will also give you, it's another report that is always required by your auditors. So you can generate your ledger also. So you can always generate your ledger as well and see all the transactions relating to the respective chart of accounts, and for those that are restricted and those that are unrestricted. So we know very well that there are requirements for the PBO Act. And one of the requirements for PBO Act is normally the each and every organization has to give out and have a report on the audit trail for your system and for the transactions that you have. So how does QuickBook give us that trail that we are able to report now to and we are able to report and meet the PBO Act? So let's see here. PBO Act requires to give good audit reporting for our organization. And so when we want to see the trails for the audit, there is a log where we normally manage the users, that is. So it starts with our setup. So for our setup, we can always give access to our different users for our activities. And so once you give access to the different users, you'll be able to track. You'll be able to track what has been done by each user in your system, and see at specific times where and what the different users did during different times. So this is now how QuickBooks is going to help us to generate a log to see the audit logs for different users of our that we've given access to. So that is now another advantage that QuickBook Online has to the requirements of the PBO Act. So it will give us the audit trail as well, or what has been done and who did it at a specific time. So for the PBO Act, we've seen the reportings that the PBO Act requires us to comply on. And we also have the KRA. KRA, we know that it's requires us to comply to different taxes. That is for the statutories and if we have consultants, that is different, the VAT, the withholding. So for QuickBook Online, for the VAT taxes, it will help us to track our VAT liabilities as well. So we have on our home button, we have the tax icon here. So as you'll be doing your setup, you have to include all the taxes that you deal with as an organization. So it will give you now all the relevant tax. If you have here, like Kenya, we have the VAT taxes, so you'll have to set up the percentages of the VAT. Once you're done with the setup, so as you'll be keying in every expense, it will give you the tax category, that's the tax icon, then you input the relevant tax rate that is required. So this is the benefit of how QBO will help us to meet KRA compliance. Now, another tax requirement that we are needed is to now meet the withholding taxes, and that is for the consultants. So if you want to do and see how to track your withholding tax liabilities, it is through the billing processes. As you will be doing your billing, you'll include your withholding tax rates and the balances. So you have to have withholding tax liability in your chart of accounts. So that is where you'll be posting your respective withholding taxes for your consultants. And so you'll be able to generate it under the liability reports. So for the payroll, QuickBooks doesn't give us the direct payroll reporting, or rather the ability to generate or do our payroll in QuickBooks. But as the Remotics solutions, we have a different software that help us to integrate our payroll to the QuickBooks. It's called PaySpace. And so if you have your QuickBook Online, you want to transition to your QuickBook Online, and you need to also make your payroll transactions accurate, we do offer the service through our PaySpace software that will help you to integrate with the QuickBook Online. So if you have any issue and you need the PaySpace for your payroll, if you're using the QuickBook Online, we are open and we'll be able to assist you to integrate accurately to the QuickBook Online and the payroll. So what next? How does QuickBook Online, we've seen how it helps us to meet the PBO requirement. And for the migration, if you want to migrate to from maybe your QuickBook desktop, from the spreadsheet to the QuickBook Online, we do assist each and everyone to migrate accurately to your QuickBooks, to the QuickBook Online. So any query that you have for the migration, if you wish to migrate from your spreadsheet to the QuickBook Online, feel free to reach out to us through our contacts. We have them online, and we'll be able to assist during the migration. So for our QuickBook Online as Remotic solution, we do have different prices and different packages for your usage. So it will also depend with the number of users that you have. It will also depend with the number of chart of accounts that you have, and it also depends with the classes that is based on your organization, the classes that you have. So we have 3 different packages for QuickBook Online. We have the essentials. So what's the advantage of the essentials? The essentials uh, gives you a maximum of 2 users. You're only able to give access to 2 users, and you'll be able to track your income and expenses based on the specific classes. And what the other advantage is, now you'll be able to generate all the reporting based on the classes. And then we have the plus. And the plus, it gives you a maximum of 5 users and a maximum of 40 classes, that is, and locations if you want to track your transactions as per the locations and the donors. And it also gives you the advantage of having the multi-currency reports. We have the advanced. So advanced will give you a maximum of 25 users. You are able to add 25 users, and it doesn't limit you to the number of classes that you're supposed to add in your system, and also it doesn't limit you to the number of chart of accounts that you're supposed to add to your system. So we have currently our pricing rate is for the plus. For the essentials, it's 5,490. For the plus, it's 6,800, and for the advanced, it's 12,300. And we are giving out discounts for the first 3 months. Those will be able to transition up to the month of May. So if you want to enjoy the discount, we have a discount of 1,000 shillings per pricing, that is per month, and this is only for the first 3 months. We also offer free consultation as remote solution for QuickBook Online users in the nonprofit organization. So feel free to book a free 30 minutes consultation. We will share the Calendly link to your emails, to respective emails. So if you have any questions that you want to get and to understand through QuickBook Online, we'll be here for you as Remotex solution. I have come to the end of my presentation, and I would like to give us an opportunity to raise questions, one-on-one questions. If you are not able to chat us through the chat box, it's now an open session for us to raise our questions, and we'll be able to answer you. So it's open. Anyone with a question, please just unmute and answer. Thank you. And ask your question, sorry.
Thank you, Jackie, for that presentation, an awesome presentation. We have several questions, and as we take the questions, you can go ahead and switch to QuickBooks and go to the reconciliation. There's a question on reconciliation. It says, please take us through how to do bank reconciliation. If you can quickly get into that. We had a question from Ajang about moving from Excel. I'll quickly run that down. Yes, that can be done as long as the Excel spreadsheet fields match with QuickBooks Online field requirements. You can actually migrate from Excel to QuickBooks pretty quick. So as Jackie gets her way to the reconciliation, we can take up one question or any other question. Anyone who wants to bring up a question?
Okay, as we wait for more questions, I'll briefly take us through reconciliation. So if we want to do our bank reconciliations, we have the accounting parts. This is the bank transactions. So you must always link your bank account to QuickBooks. Although QuickBooks doesn't give a direct linkage to several banks in Kenya, the only bank bank that you can integrate with QuickBooks for easy transactions and reconciling is ABSA. So if you have any different bank apart from ABSA, then you'll not be able to integrate it on QuickBooks and link it directly. Like here, we can see the link account. So you can only link your QuickBooks Online accounts with the ABSA bank. Any other bank, QuickBooks Online at the moment doesn't integrate with. But still, we can do that and manually and reconcile it manually. So if we have a different bank, let's say Equity, you must always upload your bank statement, and from the chart of accounts, you must also create that account, the bank account that you have. You might be having maybe a KCB bank with different accounts, account numbers. As you prepare your chart of accounts, ensure you create each bank with the different code and the ones with the different account numbers. So as you'll be doing reconciliation, you'll have to upload the bank statement. So once you upload the bank statement, QuickBooks will give you an template on how your bank statement should look like before you upload. So you'll download the template and tailor your bank statements as per the QuickBooks template, and then you upload. So once you upload, you can see my screen here. I'd uploaded one with the unreconciled balances. So as you create your chart of accounts and the bank statement, the bank that you have, ensure you key in the previous bank balances, that is the closing balances, so that you have your opening balance to your chart of account bank category. So once you upload that bank statement, this is how it will look like, all the transactions related to your bank during that period. So if you'll have what you've spent and what you've received. So with the balances that you had recorded, your previous closing balance, which will be opening balance. So as you continue reconciling, so this is how you reconcile. We have this one is withholding remittance to KRA. So this is an expense. So you'll just be ensuring that it's under the right allocation of class, location. So if it's a transaction, what's transaction time? It's an expense. So account, it will give you under the income expense account. But then we had withholding. If we had the withholding, or rather you will indicate with the right expense line. Just assuming it's a miscellaneous, but it's tax. And then if it has any tax rate, you'll include. So you'll indicate the supplier, the various location class, that is which donor is it, the expense related to the location, and then the project, that is what if it's a product or service. So you key in the relevant information there, and then you post. So once you post, you'll see that it will come out of this there and post. Let me just post anyway, because I did not include the class, but then it will come out of the unreconciled items. Once you are done reconciling all these, your balance you'll be able to see your balance here on your dashboard. So you're able to see, you can see on the right corner, we have our different accounts, the KCB1, KCB2, the USD. So you'll be able to see if we have the unreconciled items. We can see here we have 26 transactions to review. So those we have not reconciled. For the Kenya shillings, we have the 55 transactions to review. So once you click those 55, it will take you to the reconciliation part. Or rather, you can come here, accounting, another option, you reconcile. So which account or bank account do you want to reconcile? You'll select your specific bank account, and then key in all the relevant information, the balances, the ending balance that you had, which you should have done as you are you see I have my beginning balance. You should have done as you are creating your chart of accounts. So this is now how a summary of how we do the bank reconciliation. Thank you.
All
Any
right,
other
Jackie, thank
questions?
you. Thank you for that. I'm trying to go through the chat as we have several questions so that we make sure we address the ones that require some demo on QBO. So if you can quickly switch to a quick rundown on how to do expenses, how to enter expenses in QuickBooks Online. As you do that, there could be one more verbal question which doesn't necessarily require a demo, or it may, which asks, what does restricted funds imply in donor funding? Um,
Okay, so maybe let me answer the restricted funding question. So what does restricted funding imply in donor funding? Restricted funding, this is basically the grants that you receive, but have a specific requirement, or you should, let me say it is restricted to specific projects. Like you can't use it to a different project if you're running different projects and you've been funded. Let's say these funds were sent to your organization and you are supposed to build a school building, or rather maybe toilets. So these funds should be strictly be used for the project of building a school. And for the unrestricted, you can receive general funds or grants from different donors, but now you are not limited to whatever you should use the fund to. You can use it for your admin expenses. You can use it for, let's say, transport. You can use it for any other project that your organization has. So that is the unrestricted. Restricted, it is specifically for a specific project. You should not use it outside. I hope I've answered that. Thank you. So let's see how to record expenses. We have the create icon in our QuickBooks. We have the different categories of customers, suppliers, the team, and other. Under suppliers, you can see we have expenses. And for us to book an expense, we must always create a bill first, because you can't create an expense before creating a bill. So if it's an expense that you've not paid for, that would be a bill. So you'll have to create a bill. But if it's an expense that maybe you've paid in cash, you'd always create expense directly. But if it's an unpaid, it would always be a bill. So here, this is how we do the expenses. So we have the payee. Payee is your customer. You'll select the relevant customer. So we are having the USD account. Let's pick Genesis as our customer. Payment account is the USD bank. So we are going to pay this customer through our dollar bank account. We can see the rate today. This was the now benefit of multi-currency. It would give you today's rate is 129 and payment date is 11th. If it's payment method, you want to pay in cash, it's okay. You can pay in check. And the location, the expense related to which location. And we have, let's say, Garissa. You'll create your location there. So if it was transport, you allocate it under the right chart of account code, which is transport. Let's say they were supplying us our office furniture. It was amounting to this. Our VAT is 16%. We have the project. So remember I showed us how to allocate the different projects that we have. So here we have fundraising, we have education, we have health project from our total livelihood. So let's say it was under education, there are desks related to school. And here now for the class, where we said we have the restricted donors and the unrestricted donors. So if it's coming from AMREF and it's restricted, we allocate it to AMREF. If it's unrestricted, we'll allocate it to the respective unrestricted class. So any amount, if you have, you will create the amount under the attachment and give a description. Let's say it was a supply, or transports, let's say transports of lockers and desks to ABC school. And then attachments, you'll now upload here if it's an invoice, LPO, any related documents that is supporting this specific transaction. That is now good for audit trail. And then this is another advantage of QuickBooks Online. You'll be able to now store your documents, and it would be easy to retrieve during the audit period. It will just give access to the auditor. That is the view-only access. And the auditor will now be able to see all your documents in one place now, instead of requesting and then now sending differently. So they'll be able to see each transaction and every document. So we'll upload any attachment there related to that. And see from there, you will save your expense. If you want to add another one, you will save and new. And that's now how we do expense bookings in QuickBooks Online.
We have several other questions. Some may include several steps, like creating the account from ground up. Hi, Ian. We see the question, and since this may take a longer time than allocated, we could schedule a one-on-one, and Jackie can walk you through how to create an account on QuickBooks Online and link specific charts of account to specific suppliers. Also, how to handle petty cash. It looks like a tiered question that may need some extra time on that. So we'll take note of that and we'll reach out. There's a question that maybe you can quickly answer, Jackie, whether QuickBooks has a procurement module, and also how to record multiple payments paid by more than this is from a school. How do you record multiple payments paid by more than 400 students and invoice them too? While at that, then you can also show how to send multiple. There's another question from Kitonga on how to send multiple invoices, which I think if you cover the one from Jill, it should answer that. And then, of course, the procurement part of QuickBooks.
So procurement modules, we have several. That is for creating, if you want to create your LPOs, you can see here. We have under the suppliers, that is, we have the purchase orders. If you want to create a purchase order, so that is now you want to request. I believe you have to have an LPO before you you book any bill. So it has the processes. So you'll have to create a purchase order first, yes. And again, this is now a process which will be able to maybe give a narration step by step if we would have a one-on-one call session. So if we have a purchase order, this is where you will be able to create a purchase order, send you email to the respective supplier. You can see here the emailing. Once the supplier receives through the email, and you've linked your QuickBooks account with your email, the supplier will be able to respond through their email. And once it has responded through the email, it would come back now to your QuickBooks account. And if the supplier sends an invoice, you'll be able to bill it now directly to the QuickBooks accounts through the account. So it will show you the response that the supplier has given, and now transfer it to billing. So you'll bill it. If you are supposed to bill it and you want to bill it, you'll bill it there. So here it generally starts with the purchase order. So it's a process. Once you do an email, the supplier response, it comes back to your QuickBooks and gives you the response, and give you then the billing tab where you'll be able to bill, pay if you are supposed to pay, if you want to pay it, and then now expense it. So yes, it has a procurement capability, and it can integrate well with the procurement process, from the quotation request the purchase order request to the payment. So yes, it can give you a trail or procurement trail accurately. So what was the other question, John, kindly?
The other question was on
For the school?
invoicing. In invoicing, where you're able to generate multiple invoices.
So if you're able to generate multiple invoices, yes, you can generate multiple invoices. So here we also have our customers. Here, when you want to create now an invoice, you'll have to create an invoice using the invoice tab. And I'm not sure, is it an invoice that has different, let's say it's a school, maybe it has different students. I'm
I
not
believe
sure.
it could be the same amount of invoice. In the amount field, the amount is the same, but to different recipients. I think that's what the question is on about. Let's say, for example, the
Okay.
school fees amount is the same for one term, and you're sending to multiple parents. So I think that's what the question is related to.
Okay, then it should be it's not, you are not able to send it to multiple parents at the same time, because now the invoices need to have different numbers, because you will not give the same invoice to with the same invoice number to different parents. So you'll have to create each invoice and send it just as we had done the purchase order. We'll have to create a different invoice to a different parent. You can't send them multiple parents through the same invoice. You'll have to create it one by one. So this is the procedure of creating the invoice. Just as the LPO and how to create the customer, you'll have to add a customer there and give the narration of the invoice, if the invoice number, the period that you want your invoice to be paid, and give out the date, location, the same features just as the expenses and the LPOs, and then track them as per, if it's per class, maybe your school, you have class 1, 2, 3, or grade 1, 2, 3. So this is now where you'll allocate the invoice to, if it's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then now do the relevant narrations. But then you can't do multiple invoices to different parents through QBO. Thank you. Another question? Do we have any other question? So if we don't have any more questions, we have a Calendly invite and link that we'll share with everyone who has joined the session, so that if you have any query, if you want any demo, maybe a specific process that you would like to know on QuickBooks, you would freely schedule a call with us and have a free 30-minute call. And I would also urge us to be quick with the PBO requirement. Let's all meet up with the deadline. And we here as Remotics, we are here for you. If you want to migrate, we are here for you. If you want to ensure that you comply with the reportings for your specific donors, we are here to assist. So feel free, we have our contacts there, and we'll share our resources as well to your emails and our contacts, so that you can be able to reach us out anytime you need us. So thank you once again. And we've come to the end of the session. I would like to thank us for joining. We'll be having different presentations severally, and we'll be able to invite all of us through those sessions. And I believe it will be benefiting us to our specific needs. So anyone who has a specific need and would love to know how QuickBooks will help them, feel free to reach out to us through the link, Calendly link that we'll share through your emails. So once again, thank you so much, and we are free to leave the call. Have a good day and be blessed.